Ara l'Andrea està preparant, l'Andrea ve de Viena, el projecte TurtleStitch molt els coneixeu, però aquí encara crec que no ha començat amb força. Potser les experiències més que tenim són en tallers diversos que s'han fet al City Lab. Amb el projecte FATS també estem apostant. Jo crec que serà un projecte que sentirà parlar i s'està sentint ja parlant molt. Si anem, per exemple, a altres països com Amèrica, és un projecte que està engrescant molt per donar també altres opcions. Aquests murs amples que comentàvem és donar diversitat d'opcions i aquests canvis de perspectiva que hem vist, passar de la fusta al plàstic al tèxtil, després comentarem alguna cosa, però quan ara ho tingui, l'Andrea ens presentarà una mica del projecte i també la tindrem fent tallers per la tarda. Per tant, teniu temps també per preguntar-li coses, veure material, quan vulguis, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's always very exciting to make a presentation after Jens because it's so mind-blowing and intense and fast and very well thought. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much. Because TurtleStitch has already found its way also to the Catalan area. We worked close with City Lab in the past year and have a very, very good connection and conversation, and I'm very thankful for that. What is TurtleStitch? Somebody asked me, why are you called the Lady of TurtleStitch? First thing is that I'm not the only person who is doing TurtleStitch. I'm so-called the project lead because I'm trying to get it further and focusing on it since many years. But there is the other person, Michael Ascher, who is right sitting here. Can you please get up and say hi? Because Michael is the person who is doing the back end. And it's very important for me to point out. So what is it? I just have a look if the correct frame is up there. Yeah. Perfect, because I wanted to mirror one-to-one. So anyway, TurtleStitch is set up on the big shoulders of Snap. You understand why I say the big shoulders. You saw Jens' presentation, and you saw the power of the tool, and this is absolutely amazing. So when we started it, we were thinking about which tool we should use to put TurtleStitch on top, and we decided for Snap and never regretted it because it's such a great environment. Technically spoken, you see it. It's there is an addition of this JavaScript library and the WebGL area. You don't know the interface yet, I haven't shown, but there is a part of the stage that works differently than in Snap. In Snap, it's a static stage, and in TurtleStitch, we need it a little bit more dynamic because in the end, in TurtleStitch, we work for physical objects, for textile objects. There is another part of TurtleStitch. It is beside the coding area, which looks similar to Snap. There is a community section of the TurtleStitch project, and our community is really active, and it's really it's wonderful, it is fulfilling, it is a nice and small kind of social biotop, and we usually tend to interact intensively, and it's an open source project also, and we can build upon others' projects and have a lot of discussion about what we are doing and why we are doing things. We are also on Wikipedia, as you see here, and find a lot of more of this background information on Wikipedia, so I stopped this here. What are the origins of TurtleStitch? It started as an experimental artistic project a while ago, and developed from year to year. So we did fashion shows and also performances, but as I was active also during this artistic work, I was active in education already. My background is in the arts. I studied arts, but I found out that education is the thing that interests me much more than the arts in the end. So I knew about the tools that were around. This is how all that found together. So I found last time this great, I think it's called what is it called, this quote or small phrase by Paul Klee. And originally it's called a line is a dot that went for a walk. And this, I think this fits very well for what TurtleStitch is. So you start from the point, go to the line, and you create everything from that point on. So I have adjusted this frame a little bit. So a line is, in our case, a turtle that went for a walk. TurtleStitch is being used by many people and many teachers in school situations and also in after-school situations. And we had a lot of experience, of course, since the years we're using it. There is this one, I have especially this photo here. It's from an initiative that we do in Austria. I think it's done Europe-wide. It's called Töchtertag, Daughters' Day, so where we invite especially girls. But of course, TurtleStitch is a tool and a tool. I call it simply a tool that attracts intensively girls but not just girls. This is the very important thing. It's also a very diverse project. Yeah? So, of course, girls are sometimes, but I don't want to do these intersections all the time, but it is having a sewing machine or embroidery machine presented somewhere on a booth, wherever, it is a thing that is kind of female connotated, and this is the reason also why it is being attractive for, if you set it up at a fair by many female, by the female visitors. If you go to a maker fair and there is sometimes the number of women less, it's really interesting that you see that they are attracted more, and maybe the booth is surrounded by more female persons. You see it in our community that there is, when I kind of calculated, we are, I think, about 80% female users and also educators. But it is so wonderful to see in all the workshops that it works for so many different persons, and the diversity is not just gender-wise, it's also in the different ages. So you can start it with pretty small children from primary school, and we have users up to the 80s and more, and it's really very well a good tool also for example, so intergenerational setups. That's very nice. So thinking about grandparents maybe and their grandchildren, this also works very well. And diversity is also a big issue when you think about the different cultures, when you think about textiles, because every person from whatever part of the world, of course, we wear textiles, and we all have our own kind of traditional cultural patterns and ideas, and we see that this is also a very big thing when we look at the different kind of artistic pattern work that is being done in TurtleStitch. So diversity is taking place, or we see diversity in TurtleStitch in several different aspects. It is a very open project, and openness, I also understand it as, when we work with TurtleStitch, I see it as an opener to thinking about other tools too, and other techniques. What I also use is, for example, this vertical robot that is using the TurtleStitch results and transferring it to a drawing on a glass wall, for example. Afterwards, happily, we have this glass wall. If you don't have a window or something, you can just use a simple paper on the wall, draw it, and remove it afterwards or whatever. But it's, for me, always very important to think about what else you can do by the things you learn with TurtleStitch. So it's an opener, it's an attractor at the beginning for me, and later on you can also use the things, for example, for a a cardboard cutter, a laser cutter, or whatever. As it is, we have the vector graphics as an output involved. You can use it for different machines too. And it's nice if you're coming back to focusing on the use and the artistic works in TurtleStitch. It's also possible and very important that you offer the participants, the users, whatever, different kinds. They can construct things. So the one you see this, the one girl wanted to make an elephant, so she constructed one on the left one, and the other partner in the team wanted to draw it by hand, so with the mouse or whatever kind of interface you have for drawing, and it's also possible to come to a result. So there are different ways there are different codes also involved, and as you, of course, I think have understood, in Snap there are so many ways of coding, and so almost all of that you can use in TurtleStitch too. These are some examples from TurtleStitch community users. So many creative work involved. I love this. It's just a Twitter feed of one of our users. She is doing a lot of experimental work, and I have another slide here that shows it. Yeah, another one, she's also embroidering on different materials, for example, on just natural leaves. We have the workshop, but before just referring to the workshop afterwards, I also I brought some patterns, some materials here. I will open that, and no, wait, I will show one more thing just from beside, and then later I think we have a coffee break. Is this correct? Then I can put the patterns on the stage below, and you can pass by, have a look at the different kind of patterns. There are really complex code works in this map, but also very simple ones. You cannot, in the end, when you look at the pattern, you cannot really understand at the first look if it is a complex pattern or not a complex pattern. This is also something very interesting. I put it down there, and you can have a look at it later. But just one example I show you. There is another aspect I like to point out. So these are the patterns for later. No, back here. It's just I like that very much. This is a small product that we did at another Töchtertag last year. But I like also the idea of combining coding with TurtleStitch and embroidery, also with sewing. So, for example, thinking about making complex three-dimensional objects on the basis of a two-dimensional flat thing in the beginning. Of course, that's the nature of sewing, but this, for example, is also a very simple example where you have a flat thing. You just add one of the zippers in a very intelligent way, and you can close it, and you have a wonderful and pretty complex three-dimensional thing. And this is something that also was very important to me in my teenage years, and I think this is also one of the reasons that everything developed like it did. So my final words, and come to our workshops maybe later on.